Yeah.
All right, park people, listen up. For me, coming together on this last Sunday of April on our beautiful Steinberg Nature Center grounds and Doc Thomas House with members and friends for this annual meeting is the high point of the event season, right, Helen?
Yes.
Well, that's what he said.
We're here to honor some incredible local eco-heroes, beginning with the widely regarded keynote speaker, South Florida's own award-winning author, filmmaker, and historian Cesar Becerra. We will share the stories of the Everglades guardians, past and present. Cesar's someone who doesn't just write about Everglades history, digs deep, literally immerses himself in a river of grass and brings to life the people who fought for it, the moments that shaped it, and the legacy we're all part of today. What makes Cesar so compelling is how he connects our past to our present. I guess I need that, huh? Reminding us that Everglades conservation isn't something that happened in the 20th century. It's work in progress that requires every South Floridian's full attention and advocacy as we strive to finally restore this vast and life-giving wetland. You'll see the Everglades through a whole new lens, better understanding how reliant we are on its waters, and be inspired by the people who have fought so hard to save South Florida's most unique and crucial ecosystem. On a personal note, Helen and I met Cesar probably some 30 years ago during the celebration of Miami's 100th birthday. Cesar put out a centennial newsletter, Cesar, that I still have the collection of. I meant to bring one today, but I had to take it out of the garage. And hosted a number of centennial events, including a bus ride across the Tamiami Trail, learning about the history and the connection Miami has to the Everglades. He was awe-inspiring then, and he's been a friend ever since, even though we just see each other from time to time. I'm so excited to have Cesar here with us today. It's a privilege to welcome him to the Tropical Audubon Society. Please join me in giving a warm tropical welcome to Cesar Becerra.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a force of nature what happened back here. I thought I was going to do this in the rain. And then the challenge that Lauren, Joe, and Anna gave me to do this in 15 minutes. Each of these people that I'm going to be honoring could literally take up a good 45 minutes to an hour. So we'll get right to it. 13, 1, 500, and 450. Remember those numbers. Today, there's probably roughly 50 billion to 100 billion birds out there. 10,000 species, but 125 years ago, roughly, there were 13,000 species. And around the world, in North America, 125 years ago, there were 1,000 species just in North America. But in Florida, there were 500 of the 1,000, and in Dade County, there were 450 of the 500 of the 1,000. Folks, the party was here, down here in Dade County. And with that, people came to bag birds, for the good and for the bad. You know, you could come down here and see birds. It would take you 2 or 3 years to check the mark on your list. And other people, unfortunately, came down here to take them away from us. So it's important to know that. Now, I've been challenged to talk about the guardians, past and present, and I thought I'd mix both the past and some correlations to the people in the present doing almost the same thing. I've had the honor to interview and bump up with some of the most amazing pioneers or their sons or daughters, so it's pretty interesting. Dan Beard Jr., I'm sure some people know. Now, a little bit later, Pamela's going to get an award, the Dan Beard Award. Beard is one of my favorite people because he put out a warning, a very stark warning in 1938. Years before the park would see the light of day, he was already telling the Department of the Interior, what you have out here is a mess. a catastrophe and the patient is not very well. And so it was a scathing report. It actually said that if the National Park Service is prepared to put 50 to 100 years of restoration at that moment and begin, then the park idea is justified. If it is not ready to do so, he says, quote, and comma, the writer freely wishes to say it is not justifiable. So he's already told, we can't say we weren't warned many, many, many years ago. And in that light, I want to thank three people. One is no longer here with John Ogden, the great birder and biologist. But two are. Roger Hammer needs no introduction. He is part of loving the Everglades. He's going out there and showing you can be out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded with mosquitoes. Sometimes, as you like to say, pushing the mosquitoes away to get the right shot of those beautiful wildflowers in the Everglades. Terrence Rock Salt as well, amazing defender. Now, you may or may not have heard of the name Charlotte Needhawk. She was married to a guy named Russell Needhawk. Some of you could. If you guys go home and look up the book, Charlotte's Story, incredible tale of how the turn of the century, some of these islands like Elliott Key and Indian Key and other places were the last places. Some of these birds were starting to kind of get away from the bustle of the city and land in these places. Incredible book. And Dr. Tiffany Troxler really embodies what they did, observing. She's been a queen of the sea level rise, watching, in some cases actually diving to make sure that things are, sometimes they're not always that way. And so we honor people like that. I love where she worked at the FIU Solutions Center. We need more Solutions Center. Guy Bradley needs no introduction. As you know, Guy Bradley gave his life. And imagine in 1905, there weren't the plethora of environmental groups we have today. Today we have, I don't know, you could lose count. But at the time, it was not only big news, but kind of a brain explosion to think that one person would lose their life over protecting birds. It was novel. And it saved the Audubon Society, which was actually fledgling at that time. It kind of, through his martyrdom, it kind of bounded back up. And don't forget, it happened here in South Florida. Okay, his life. And if you go down today to the Guy Bradley Youth Center, there's a small little leather kind of, looks like a hardtack from the Civil War. And I was once given this and told to close your eyes, Cesar. The archivist at the Everglades National, they put this weird little piece in my hand, and I opened my eyes and I said, what is this? He said, well, that's Guy Bradley's wallet. I said, what? It's the wallet that was on his body when he was shot. It's incredible. Sometimes getting touched with history really wakes up. And I've seen kids at the center down there in Flamingo, their eyes light up. You can't believe that there's this connection to the past. It's sitting right there. Something they can understand, So in that realm, I think I want to match Julie Rathmel, who really is doing an incredible job. 20 years of defending. Let's hear it for Julie. Aside from the Horizon spill, she was also one of the founders and creators of the Great Florida Birding Trail. And wow, what a trail that is. Rachel Silverstein, I don't know if Rachel's around. Is she around today? No. Rachel really reminds me of a John Canuncle Small. Anybody hear about J.K. Small? I know Roger probably has, and other people. Amazing observer of the old day. So observant that today, when you go to the hole in the donut and you see that whole swath of Brazilian peppers that have been removed, the very solution holes that J.K. Small talks about, being these masses, are still there. Now you can see them. You can tell. And when you read the book, his wonderful book, Eden Sahara, you think he's lying. There couldn't possibly be these magical pieces in the ground like that. But J.K. Small, I think really Rachel embodies that. His determination to protect the habitats. He was one of the early, along with Ralph Monroe, one of the early kind of ringers of the bell. Eve Samples, tenacious, on the front lines. I think she definitely marries that Marjorie Stoneman Douglas type of approach. And I love when she puts out Mrs. right as she leaves the courthouse. Amazing, you're getting it right there. So let's hear it for Eve. And I brought up earlier, Ralph Monroe and his incredible photographs as he captured some of this Eden that a lot of people came down, and also a force that one said, if we take it too far, this might not be so good. Okay, Ralph Monroe. And a triple threat is Kirsten Hines, who's a photographer, researcher, a writer, and she's been capturing incredible books and photography. So let's hear it for Kirsten. The Audubon Society was literally on the front lines to share with the world what this weird little park called Everglades National, originally proposed as the Tropical Everglades National Park. And in the early days of the park, there were no interpretive rangers. Now I think there's like 20 or 30 to go out and explain. But at the early days of the park, they had to rely on Audubon rangers to actually take the place of Everglades National Park rangers. Okay. I understand. I'm going to try my best. Okay. Okay. So, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So what Dan Beard did is he actually adopted and basically deputized these Audubon wardens, sometimes just Audubon experts, and they would have these journeys through the park called caravans. They would actually get in cars, go off, stop, and it was the Audubon. You have a couple photographs I sent to Lauren where you see the Audubon logo on their chest. So you all really got the ball rolling. And let's face it, the Everglades was a tough sell. Almost 28 years to begin this odd park. One of the first parks really put together for biological reasons only. Here, as Truman said on his big speech on the opening of the park, there are no lofty mountains. There's no El Capitan here. Instead, there are lonely, distant wildernesses and views. None of the things, he said, that will make Johnny Q. Public suck in his breath. But that's not what we're about, okay? So the park, for biological reasons, was a tough sell. The Audubon Rangers were very part of actually giving that. And, of course, it was great that Marjorie Stoneman Douglas came out with the book just 1 week before the park opened, so they both were important. Lauren, thank you so much for challenging me here and all the work you do. Let's hear it for Lauren. A lot of challenges today.
You're doing a great job, Cesar.
Okay. All right. And the last couple of people I want to talk about are what I call the triple Bs. Okay? One B is for Betty. We'll talk about Betty in a second. One B is for Miss Brickle. I'll tell you about Miss Brickle in just a second. And another one is for the boss lady. I'll tell you the boss lady. But I've had the pleasure of really becoming friends. And I say that with an asterisk because I still have a lot to learn. But when I met Betty Osceola, it was very quick that she lent her expertise for the book I was writing on Mary Brickle. But she also has taught me a lot to listen to the natives. And in the early days of the park movement, and even the early days of the environment, we didn't always do that. I'm very happy that we're starting to do that. It's very important. But there are times Betty sets me straight, by the way, and says, listen, when you start hearing rattling off of years and first and second Seminole Wars, know that you're taking history from what's been written. We don't do it that way. We see the Seminole Wars as the beginning of the first one and the end of the third one. That's one war. So I've learned a lot from Betty. It's very important. And the Brickles are very important, particularly Mary Brickle, who was known by the Seminoles as the Little Angel. And she listened to them. One day, she almost couldn't believe what they were saying. She came up to them. You know, the Seminoles used to pole their canoes to the Brickle trading posts, stay sometimes a week or two. And they told Miss Brickle, on a day like this, interestingly enough, but they thought, oh, a couple little clouds in the distance. They said, no. Miss Brickle, there's a big storm coming. And you should take note and pull all your things in, kind of the way we did today. And she couldn't believe it. Sure enough, about 6 hours later, all hell had broken loose there. So listening to the natives is very important. As I've studied the early park movement, we didn't always do that, so I really appreciate that. Now, I rattle off a lot of things here, and there's a lot of books you should get. And the boss lady I'm telling you about is the executive director of the Mary Brickle Foundation, Patrick O'Shea, who's right here. If you want to learn about some of these luminaries and people that have rattled off a lot more than that, I've created a little kind of a synopsis of where to go, what books to get, etc. So see her for a business card and get that. I want to end off with my story, which is important that the kids that we have to reach. Very important. I had at a very impressionable age, at 10 years old, was taken out to Everglades National Park. Alongside Van Beard Research Road is a 235-acre park called the Boy Scout Camp. And at that Boy Scout camp at 10 o'clock, at 10 years old, my parents had just barely allowed me to go out on this camp out. They're right here, over at Cesar Becerra. And they normally wouldn't because it's a scary out Everglades. But I was going with my best friend and his father. And the plan was to fatten up all these Cub Scout and Boy Scouts with the largest vat of spaghetti I've seen to this day. They cooked this massive meal. We didn't really get it, really. We didn't really get it. But the next day we understood we were going to go out on a really interesting expedition in canoes. 10-year-old kids on 17-foot Grummins, that's a challenge. Although we do have, 10-year-olds have like nuclear power plant type energy. But the plan was to go off about 10 miles from Westlake into the mangrove tunnels, and then we were going to switch with the hikers that were going to meet us halfway on the old boll weevil trails that used to be out in the middle of the Everglades on the old maps. Well, we got to the end of all that, and we waited. We had our lunch, which was spaghetti. And we waited some more, and then no one was coming. So we set a party down the trail. And sure enough, about 50 feet down the trail, we realized, oh, this is overgrown. There is no way they were going to get here. So we had to do something that was pretty epic. We were already pretty tired. We had to go paddle back the same route. Now, earlier in the day, when we were in those mangrove tunnels, we had a ball. There would be a branch, and we'd kind of duck under one. We had to wait for Arthur, my friend's dad, duck. That's a terribly inefficient duck system. This time we said, we're tired. We're going to get home. So we pick up a little steam, and we were going to say, on the count of three, we're just all going to duck. The only problem is we all ducked the same way to the right. You know what happens when you all duck at the same time to the right. We were in the drink, in the mud. Interestingly enough, at that moment in time, an amazing amount of bird life, after we were struggling, they started landing above our heads there. And we were now having to use the very branches that we didn't successfully duck at the right time, in the right way, forward or backwards. We had to crawl our sails outward, giggling. When we got back into the canoe, well, only 1 or 2 paddle strokes later, we realized at the opening of this channel, there was a 12-foot alligator about 20 feet away. This is a story, as you can imagine, was embargoed from my parents for 15 years. I would have never gone back out to the Everglades. But the most important thing about that story is that Everglades has an edge to them. Okay? There's beauty, and there's sometimes danger, and sometimes we have to protect the beauty from the danger, and that's what the Audubon has always done. This group, Audubonites, I really applaud their efforts. That's all I have to say. So.
Thank you so much, Cesar. He is an incredible storyteller. Next time we'll give him an hour and a half. Because I want to hear more for sure. But again, thank you very much. It's always powerful to be reminded that the work we continue today is part of a much bigger conservation story, one that spans generations, and we're all here helping to write it. At this point, I'm going to try to get the staff to come up here.
We should probably raise our hands.
DJ's in the back room. The Tropical Audubon Society has been at the forefront of environmental advocacy and education since 1947. Just an aside with Cesar, our founder, Charlie Brookfield, I've got a picture of him leading one of those caravans it's a great picture. So we have been out there since 1947, since Charlie Brookfield founded our organization, leading bird walks. defending wildlife, protecting Biscayne Bay, the Everglades, and our natural resources. The vital conservation work is only possible because of the incredible team members who are joining me here, maybe not joining me on stage, but in the house. So, Lauren, you've met. Here. DJ is in the alcove. Amy's around.
Amy's on the board.
Amy's out here by the bird bar. Ooh, Amy. We always have to look for Amy because she's always working behind the scenes. So thank you, Amy. And Anna Lima. One camera, one cell phone, she's working. Our outreach specialist, Jennifer Quintero, who was here earlier, but not able to be with us today, or at this moment. And our education intern, Kylie Gill, is Kylie here.
There's
A big round of applause, thank you. And I'd like to invite Lauren to share some highlights from our conservation efforts this past year, efforts that truly reflect our mission and spirit. Lauren.
Everyone's doing okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Joe. It's really been a powerful year for conservation, and I'm proud to share just a few highlights that we've achieved together. So most recently, we secured protections for the Calusa Rookery, and this is located in the former Calusa Golf Course property in West Kendall. So we worked with the developer to make sure that that rookery will be protected and reduce any impacts there. So we'll be, with months of engagement, we made sure that the development moves forward with meaningful safeguards for state-threatened tricolored herons and also other wading birds. So that was a win for us there. Working to protect our imperiled pine rocklands. We do many education initiatives. We've had some policy passed to promote those education initiatives, and we're working on the federal level to see how we get the pine rocklands protected. So that's huge. And one of the projects I'm really proud of is Rainbow Island. So this is a bird nesting rookery in Biscayne Bay across from Morningside Park. And for the past 2 years, every month, we've gone out and we've collected data of this really important rookery. Nesting data, the birds that are there, and now we're working with the City of Miami, who owns the island, FWC, and the Aquatic Reserve to secure better protections for that island. Our advocacy had led to the Aquatic Reserve. Now they're going to be installing buoys around the island, so we'll be able to protect the birds that are there. So we're very excited for that. So these are real results and real impact, and it's really about the science, right? We always lead with the science, which creates more awareness, and that leads to protection. So at the same time, we're continuing to play the long game. We're staying fully engaged in protecting and preserving the urban development boundary line, okay? This is crucial to protect the Everglades and our clean drinking water. I was recently at the County Commission meeting last week, fighting to protect our urban development boundary, and that is ongoing. So, get involved with us with the Hold the Line Coalition and other groups that are fighting for that.
Yes.
Yes. Very closely with the county through the year task force, and this is looking at our comprehensive development master plan, and that's the plan that really guides growth in our county. So we're working very closely with the county to make improvements to our CDMP. Okay, Elizabeth, I will. All right, so I want to say, when we say conservation, it's a team effort, and we mean it. Each of you are here today because you're on our team too. Every action learn you take, every email that you're reading, the donations, the gifts, being in this room all together, it's
yes.
for you as well.
Yes.
So now I'm going to pass it off to DJ to talk about our education program. Here we go, DJ.
All right, thank you, Lauren, and thank you, everybody, for your adaptability in the face of South Florida's weather, which is always unpredictable. I really appreciate it. My name is DJ Modazenik. I'm the Education Director with Tropical Audubon Society, and here we believe lasting environmental change starts with a connection formed between people and nature, grounded in passion, enthusiasm, and education. In order to create positive change for our ecosystems, wildlife, and natural resources, we need to understand them. Tropical Audubon Society fulfills that need through our dynamic educational programs. Our Tropical Audubon Ambassador Program equips adults with ecological knowledge along with the skills needed in advocacy and environmental policy to become strong voices for our South Florida ecosystems. Graduates of these programs join our ever-growing ambassador community, expanding our conservation efforts. Last year, we once again graduated over 70 ambassadors from our fall program. Our summer high school ambassador program, which graduated 46 high school student ambassadors the last 2 summers, offers students hands-on experiences in ecology and leadership to help them grow into confident change makers early in their young adult lives. I'm also thrilled to share that our educational CHIRP program for youth from underserved communities continues to grow and evolve. Since my incredible predecessor, Dr. Stephanie Clements, ran the first CHIRP program back in 2024, we have educated more than 200 kids. We like to believe that this program sparks a lifelong love of the environment, fosters a deep connection to nature, and empowers future environmental stewards. So whether you're a student, an advocate, or simply somebody who cares about protecting nature, there's a place for you in the Tropical Audubon flock. Join us, raise your voice, and take action for our ecosystems. Thank you.
Thank you, DJ. At the heart of Tropical Audubon is our love of birds, and the many ways we invite you to connect with them, from birding field trips to creating habitat right at home. Our popular weekly birding field trips, led by field trips coordinator Brian Raposa, who is here today.
Brian Raposa.
Offer a front row seat to South Florida's incredible migrations. From spring and fall migrants passing through to winter
There he is.
visitors.
There he is. There he is.
So through winter visitors, we love welcoming back each year. If you haven't joined us yet, I highly recommend it. You can check our website for our final bird walk this upcoming weekend, May 2nd, and we'll be leading, that'll be just before our break. Our summer break. It's kind of hot out there, so we'll wait till fall to start up. And of course, birding doesn't stop at observation. It starts in our backyards. Through our native plant sales and monthly gardening days staged by our amazing events and grounds director, Amy Creeper. Again, Amy. We're helping our community create habitat at home, supporting birds and pollinators while restoring pieces of South Florida's natural landscape. It's one of our most hands-on ways to make a difference, and we love seeing so many of you take part. This month, we are proud to be commemorating 50 years of Tropical Audubon Society's stewardship of the Doc Thomas House. But the story, did I skip over? The end. Actually, I missed a page, so I'll continue. Amy makes all this happen, from organizing these programs and events, stewarding our wooden grounds, and helping lead restoration efforts at our historic Doc Thomas House headquarters. Amy ensures that our campus, well-watered, continues to be both a sanctuary for wildlife and a welcoming place for you. I'd like to take a moment also to recognize the incredible work that our communications director, Anna Lima, does for our organization. Because of Anna, who works tirelessly, mostly behind the scenes on content creation, newsletters, and media relations, our messaging to our members and media is top-notch, including this event. Thank you very much.
We are proud to be commemorating 50 years of Tropical Audubon stewardship of this Doc Thomas House. But the story really begins right down the street 100 years ago in 1926. This guy named Arden H. Thomas had moved to this community the year before, and made people work to get clean, and subsequently opened his OK drugstore right down the street in June 1926. A few years later, he bought almost 2.5 acres of property here in High Pines and had this distinctive wood frame residence built in 3132. He was a pharmacist who became known throughout the community as Doc Thomas. He lived a long, productive, and venturesome 50 more years after he first came here. As he neared the end of his life in December 1974, he made a visionary gift. He bequeathed this beloved home and 2.2 wooded acres to Tropical Audubon Society in a life estate that transacted upon his death 1 year later. Doc had entrusted Tropical Audubon with protection of a place he cherished. In April 1976, Tropical formally established the wood frame vernacular cottage as our headquarters. Since then, the house has become historically designated at the local, state, and national levels. Over the past 5 decades, the house and its grounds evolved into a vibrant hub for environmental education, advocacy, and community connection. A place where people come together to protect Biscayne Bay, the Everglades, and other regional natural and historic resources. Today's Doc's house stands as an enduring example of grassroots conservation in action. If you haven't had a chance to experience our history up close, we invite you to join us this coming Saturday, May 2nd at 1 or 3 p.m. for a free Doc Thomas House talk and tour. If you can't make it, tour will probably resume in the fall. It's a wonderful way to connect more deeply with this place we're so proud to call home.
Yes, Dan has done a wonderful job of interpretation of the Doc Thomas House history, Tropical Audubon Society's history, and just being someone who's a stalwart, even when his voice is faltering, I'll say, because Dan usually communicates very well. Actually, always communicates very well. So, with that, where am I? So now I'm going to bring Laura back up again to present the Polly Redford Citizen Conservation Award to Elizabeth Fata Carpenter, Executive Director of the Everglades Law Center. Thank you, Laura.
Okay, so before I introduce Elizabeth, I'd like to share who Polly Redford was and the significance of this award. So Polly was a Tropical Audubon Society board member in the 1960s. Together with her husband Jim Redford, Joe Browder, and Lloyd Miller, they fought tirelessly for Biscayne Bay. First against an oil refinery project named Sea Dade, and then by challenging FPL for its plan to discharge the Turkey Point power plant's heated polluted waters directly into the bay. Later they regrouped to stop developers from building a causeway across the bay and finally advocated for and persuaded Congress to start Biscayne National Monument designation, later becoming Biscayne National Park. Polly has been described as the most ardent environmentalist of her day. This award is given to someone who carries that same spirit forward. It is my honor to present this year's Polly Redford Citizen Conservation Award to Elizabeth Fata Carpenter, Executive Director of the Everglades Law Center. Elizabeth leads work at the forefront of Everglades restoration, water quality, climate resiliency, and land use, tackling issues that directly shape both our communities and the ecosystems we depend on. A native Floridian who grew up along the Indian River Lagoon, her connection to this work is deeply rooted. Through her leadership at the Everglades Law Center, she's a strong and steady voice for science-based policy and meaningful protections for our region. On a personal note, I am especially grateful for Elizabeth, not just as a colleague, but a friend. She has stood by my side at commission meetings and is always a phone call or text away, offering guidance and supporting Tropical Audubon with thoughtful legal insight and action. So please join me in congratulating Elizabeth Fata Carpenter. Come on up. So Polly Redford Award in honor of Elizabeth Fata Carpenter for steadfastly advancing the protection and restoration of the Everglades and other Florida waters, for so capably leveraging the law to defend our environment and the communities that depend on it, for bringing clarity, integrity, and determination to the most pressing environmental challenges of our time, for her dedication to ensuring a healthy Everglades and resilient South Florida for generations to come. Congratulations, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Lauren. You said some of the very same things I was going to say about you. Is it has been an absolute privilege and honor to work with you and the whole team at Tropical Audubon. And I just want to say thank you so much. I'm very humbled and honored to be receiving this award. I was very surprised, but it's so heartwarming. Thank you. I've had the privilege of interacting and learning from and working with Tropical since I was in law school. It was 10 years ago now. And since then, I've watched Tropical be at the forefront of every pressing environmental issue in Miami-Dade County and really all of South Florida, the whole Everglades. From defending the Everglades from rock mines and stepping up when we were needed most to protecting birds from water parks. Anytime I need information or connections or resources, Tropical Audubon is always there. And so thank you guys for being so empowering to the community and the partners that we work with. We couldn't at Everglades Law Center do what we do without you guys, and we're so thankful for you and Joe and Brian and the board and all the members. So thank you all so much.
The camera in the back shut off.
Okay. So next, I'd like to bring up Craig Grossenbacher, who will present the Dan Beard Government Conservation Award to Pamela Sweeney. Greg really quick. Greg is a respected environmental advocate, former recipient of the Dan Beard Award, and senior advisor at Miami Waterkeeper. His leadership and dedication to protecting South Florida's waterways have made him a trusted voice in advancing water quality and conservation across our region. And he and Pamela will make their way up. I'm going to introduce the Dan Beard Award. So Dan was the first and longest serving superintendent of Everglades National Park. His 11-year tenure spanned from 1947 to 1958. During that time, he served as president of Tropical Audubon Society from 1952 to 1955. He established his reputation as a biologist and conservationist while he served the Interior Department's Fish and Wildlife Service as manager of Everglades National Wildlife Refuge until it became a national park in 1947. He was instrumental in bringing in a new era that emphasizes education programs at the national park level. So this is everything that we believe Pamela also exhibits as well. So pass it up to Greg.
So I have the honor.
Louder, please.
I have the honor to introduce our next awardee, and I want to say thank you to Lauren and Joe for selecting Pamela Sweeney for the Dan Beard Government Conservation Award and for allowing me to help present it. I met Pamela about 15 years ago. I was working for Miami-Dade Derm. She had just joined DEP, running their office, their Aquatic Preserve office, as the manager of the Aquatic Preserve, I believe. And they had given her a daunting task, and that was to create the first ever Aquatic Preserve Management Plan for Biscayne Bay. It was something that the state had been trying to do in stops and starts for quite some time, but they could just never seem to bring it in for landing. And so we started comparing notes, and a few years later, she finished it, principal author of the Biscayne Bay Management Plan. And in 2015, I think it was, Durham stole her away from DEP. Durham hired her as the Coastal Resources Section Chief at Durham, and we were working very closely ever since on many projects. And I have to tell you that many of you know Pamela, but there is no one that I've ever met with a bigger heart or more kindness than Pamela. And I have worked on many projects together, and I want to tell you about the latest challenge that she has just a little bit before we present the award. It's a Herculean task. She's now the chief of the Water Resources Coordination Division at Durham. And she is tasked with overseeing the creation of a blueprint, a roadmap, a plan, a master plan, if you will, to improve water quality in Biscayne Bay, to bring Biscayne Bay back by reducing greatly the amount of nutrient pollution coming into the bay. And so she has a tremendous team at Durham of water quality experts. She oversees a bunch of folks there, including Laura Eldridge's section. Laura's here today too. She collects the Bay monitoring data. The monitoring data for Biscayne Bay goes back now almost half a century. It's the longest data set on Biscayne Bay water quality, very high quality data set, and it's how we determine what's happening to the bay, looking at the long-term trends of the bay. And that's how we know it's in trouble and suffering terribly from nutrient pollution. And it's not just the canals, the water coming out of the canals, but it's the groundwater itself. Just like the water is flowing through the river grass above ground, it's also on the same journey underground going into Biscayne Bay. And I have to tell you that the water in this area, under the built area, is not very clean. And so it's a big task. It's a multi-year effort. She's overseeing a team of not just county water quality experts, but some of the best consultants, engineering and scientists, and also academia. Multi-year effort. We wish her the best. I know that because she was with DEP and is with Durham now, she's super well positioned to bring this thing into landing, and I hope that you all can help her support her in that effort. And I would just like to say again to Tropical, thanks for selecting Pamela. And Pamela, thank you for everything that you have done and you continue to do. Well done. Dan Beard Government Conservation Award in honor of Pamela Sweeney for her unwavering commitment to protecting Biscayne Bay, the Everglades, and our region's life-giving waters. For rallying neighbors, scientists, and advocates to defend bay health and our interconnected coastal ecosystems. For reminding us that safeguarding our natural resources requires dedicated leadership, for persistence, passion, and tireless advocacy on behalf of South Florida's precious lands and waters. Presented by Tropical Audubon Society.
Joe and Lauren and the board and Tropical Audubon. Sorry, if somebody told Craig to be louder, then I'm certainly going to fail at that job. But really, I'm very humbled and honored, and this has been such a journey with Tropical Audubon over the years. I feel like there's not been a time I can think of a David and Goliath fight that Tropical hasn't been a part of, and that whatever piece we can do as civil servants and as the academic community, I think to elevate that, we will always try to do. I think we're living in a period of time where sometimes science and facts don't always matter in the larger scheme of things, but I think to this community in front of me, to my chosen family who's here, to my family who's here, to my mentors, and dear friends, those are things that will always matter. And I think that this community is probably going to have to reckon with what we're leaving behind here. And so I think there's not going to be a thing that we do that's not going to be, I think, in tandem and in lockstep with this community in Tropical Audubon. So thank you for this honor. I'm really excited to be here with everybody and to be back in the Doc Thomas house. It's been a minute. And thank you, Craig. This is even more special that this is something you're giving to me. So.
Congratulations, Pamela, and thank you, Craig. Next, I'll be presenting our President's Board Appreciation Award to an individual who has contributed to our Tropical Audubon Society mission with extraordinary energy, intelligence, dedication, and passion. This year, I have the honor of asking Jean, or as we refer to her, Jeannie Field, to come up to the podium. There's Jeannie. Jeannie has been part of Tropical Audubon Society family for quite some time now, and if you've ever attended a public hearing on a local environmental issue or been on one of our ambassador action calls, there's a good chance you've seen or heard her in action. Jeannie brings her remarkable life experiences to everything she does. She began her career in education, teaching at a school for the deaf in New York, before moving into international banking with Citibank, where she helped break new ground recruiting women for management roles. She later leveraged her experience, her expertise and global experience in her own practice, helping professionals find their voice through business, English, and accent work. What we love most about Jeannie is how she's put her professional skills to work in our region for conservation. As a Tropical Audubon ambassador, Jeannie shows up, she speaks up at government hearings, she advocates for the places and wildlife we all care about, and she gives her time generously as a volunteer. She's thoughtful, informed, fully committed, the kind of person on whom every conservation movement depends on. And when she's not advocating, she's gardening for birds, which feels like the most perfect expression of everything she stands for. For all these reasons, we're proud to recognize Jeannie today with the President's Board Appreciation Award. Jeannie, thank you for all that. Now I'll read. In honor of Jeannie Field, for her dedicated conservation advocacy and outreach as a Tropical Audubon ambassador, for standing up for the South Florida environment by showing up, speaking up, and taking action, for her support of our community programs such as Bird Day and plant sales that inspire stewardship and connecting to nature, for her passion, generosity, and unwavering commitment to protect our region's native wildlife and natural heritage, presented by Tropical Audubon Society, April 26, 2026.
This definitely beats facing the Board of County Commissioners. Absolutely. Thank you, Joe, for all your time and effort and commitment and vision, and this incredible team that is hardworking and impressive and dedicated and optimistic. Yes, optimistic, and that's all good. So I strongly encourage you to become ambassador. The program is outstanding. Learn a lot. You'll meet a lot of interesting people. You'll have fun. And when it's all over, it isn't over because there's a monthly action call. And Lauren and DJ are there to give us facts, numbers, names, what's going on, and information that would be very hard to gather on your own or to keep up with. In any way, it's a friendly reminder to say, here's all this information, now do something. For everything that you do to make South Florida a better place and to keep everything going. Long ago I learned we can never sit down. There's too much to do. So thanks for leading the way.
All right, so we actually have a little bit of a surprise. So I'm going to invite Dennis Ollie to the front, past president, and on our advisory board. Welcome, Dennis.
Well, what a great crowd. I really am excited. I was president a long time ago. And a few people remember. There's nothing more important than the air we breathe, the water we drink, the land we live on. We've got lots of problems, lots of local issues, but whether you're talking to your friendly politician or your neighbor or your friend, politely challenge, is anything more important than the environment? I mean, that's the basic for all life, including humans, but all life. Anyway, I have 3 words for you. Commitment, consistency, and consent. The commitment to be here multiple years. Again, we will have been in this building 50 years next year. Or no, this year. This year. 50 years this year. 80 years next year in terms of our incorporation. It's a long time. We are, as far as I'm concerned, I'm biased, the most important local conservation organization in Page County. And that's in large part thanks to our leadership. And that's the consistency of having that leadership always there. The commitment, to be in place, showing up, making presentations, and persuading, if you will, the ultimate politicians to make the right decisions. And then finally, managing through consent. That ability to get people to row in the same direction. I'm reading an interesting biography about someone most people have heard of, George Armstrong Custer, and it's an interesting biography, and his comparison between him and General Grant. And one of the very interesting comparisons, or I should say contrast, is Custer was about grabbing the saber and charging. Whether you wanted to go or not, you were going. Grant was all about consent. Even though he was in charge, he had his men, as a matter of consent, going forward. It's very interesting to think of it. You don't think of generals doing that, but that was his one great trait. He was able to persuade people through his ability to get their consent to go to war. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying our president, Joe Barros, shows all of this, all 3 of those, when you think about it. 25 years, 25 years. That's a long time, folks, to be the consistent president, to be here all the time, on and off. I've known Joe about 40 years now, at least 35. And he's always been available for Tropical Audubon, He is a constant person. That's important. And consent. All of our folks here, and when I was president, we struggled to hire an executive director. It was a volunteer-run organization, and we had great debates whether we wanted to hire one person to be an executive director. You can't believe it. It was that high. Now we have a whole staff, plus volunteers. And you know what? You have to sort through all of that, And you got to get everyone rowing in the same direction. And that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. And Joe's able to do that. Anyway, Joe, on behalf of Tropical Audubon, we thought it was probably timely after 25 years. Tropical Audubon Society Milestone Service Award in honor of Dr. Jose Francisco Barros. For 25 years of selfless, dedicated leadership as Tropical Audubon Society's president, for guiding our organization with wisdom, integrity, and unwavering commitment to conservation, for enthusiastically championing the protection of South Florida birds, other wildlife, and our irreplaceable natural places, for a quarter-century of service that has strengthened our mission and inspired countless environmental advocates to join them. Congratulations.
As much as this is a surprise, I gathered some little things around. And it wasn't until this morning that I put down some words. Because I had some of these great people in this room, some wonderful friends, again. So, yes, thank you. I don't know how to thank everyone here for this honor, and it has been an honor to work with a great group of board members who have contributed over the years. The group here with us today, and many who preceded them. What has been accomplished here at Tropical Audubon Society comes from a long line of society members, board members, and presidents. I mentioned Dennis Ollie, a mentor and a hero. I said he was here today. I didn't know he was going to be right. Carson Rist and Bob Kelly, two great leaders who influenced me greatly. Kevin Sarsfield, still a great friend today. Alice Wainwright, who I had the honor to meet. I know her name carried great weight in every realm of government and conservation. And the many others before them, Oscar Alley, Dave Thornton, all the way back to Daniel Beard, heard his name. But I also want to say no organization will succeed without a trusted, dedicated, and hardworking staff. You heard their name earlier. I cannot give them enough credit for our success. Amy, outside the window here. Anna, right over here somewhere. DJ, Kylie, Lauren, our new executive director. I missed Jenny, thank you. They are truly the backbone of the organization. And if you think that 25 years is an accomplishment, I could never have done it, any of this, without the love and support of my wife. She gives me sage advice and has never left my side in any of my endeavors, and I'm happy to thank her today for every day of her life. Thank you, Anna. And thank you all. Our members are important. Thank you for coming out today, and I mean, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah. We needed the rain. So we're going to close, because we're a very sophisticated organization, we close with poetry. Roger Hammer has written one that he would like to read to Joe. Possibly go wrong.
My wife Michelle and I, we live on a 1.2 acre property in the 1926 home in Homestead. And our next door neighbor was famed ornithologist John Ogden. And we planted our yards, he and us, as bird and butterfly attracting plants. And right now, our bird list for our yard stands at 150 species. And our butterfly list is half of that, 75 species. So the message here is plant it and they will come. And I wanted to tell you a quick story too about, Cesar mentioned Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and I had the honor of not only meeting her, but I was awarded the first Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Award by the Day chapter of the Native Plant Society, and it was the Fairchild Tropical Garden. And after the ceremony, she invited me over to her cottage on Petronia Street in Coconut Grove. And so I went there with her, and she went into I was in the living room. I was 38 at the time, and she was 92. And she went into the kitchen, and I was in the living room, and she yells out, she said, "Do you want something to drink?" And I said, "I'll just have whatever you're having, Marjorie." And I was expecting, some iced tea or a glass of water, and she walks out with a bottle of Desmond and Duff Scotch whiskey and 2 shot glasses. And she didn't sip her whiskey like a proper woman. She looked like a cowboy on Gunsmoke. She was downing them fast, And I'd like to tell a story about after about 6 shots, she was looking pretty hot. 2 decades deep in the humid heat, with binoculars in hand and socks on his feet, stands Joe in a hammock on the edge of a sink, who thinks her rare warbler is her reason to drink. For 25 long years, he's been running the show, while rabbits ran fast and turtles moved slow. He's seen every heron and egret in flight, and argues with owls throughout half the night. He talks to the herons like they're long-lost kin, though the herons just wonder where the hell he has been. He survived every mosquito and tropical squall. The guy is more Audubon than that guy on the wall. He knows every feather, every chirp, every beat, and talks about birds every day of the week. So here's to our leader, our bird-watching saint, who stays out all day without a complaint. 20 years in the woods and he's still got the glow, or maybe that's just the humidity, Joe.
Though I had to hint, it's still a huge surprise. So thank you to everyone here. Thank you. So, where are we? As we conclude our meeting, we ask Tropical Audubon Society members to vote on our slate of board members as required by bylaws. I'm first going to list the current board members who are up for re-election. That's Michael Aronson, who I saw earlier today, hopefully he's still somewhere within the Doc Thomas house. Miguel Caridad, who was manning the table earlier, I'm sure he's around somewhere. Kirsten Hines, who I believe is not here, and Tiffany Troxler. So for election to the board, I will now introduce the new nominees, and that's Greg Grossenbacher, who you heard from earlier, and Ron Magill, who was up against the wall here next to Ron. So the bylaws require the Tropical Audubon Society members, those who are members, please take part. And we are asked to cast a vote of approval for each nominee. We would appreciate your vote for approval for, I'll just ask for approving the slate. So, do I have a motion for the approval of our new board members? Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Excellent. Thank you very much. Just another great addition to our board with Ron and Greg. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Finally, this is you.
Sure. All right, everybody. I know it's a little humid in here, but I want to thank United Community Bank, the Wire Jays, Republic National Distribution Company, and Sports Grill for making today possible. And special thanks to Cesar Becerra for making Members Migration 2026 so memorable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So here are key takeaways from today, all right? Take action on our conservation issues. Yeah. Right? Read our monthly e-newsletters and follow us on social media. We also want you to become a member if you're not a member, so please become a member. Don't miss our Go Native Plant Sale on June 6th. That's a great event if you want to get some native plants. And take a house tour on May 2nd. We got to go check out everything in the house, and Dan will lead us, all right? And thank you all so much from the bottom of our hearts. We can't do our work without you. So, thank you. If everybody could just pick up their chairs, and we could bring them outside and pile them on. Thank you.